Hey guys, it's Patdees, and welcome to my channel. I appreciate you guys stopping here. I got a special guest on today that I'm excited to have. As you guys know, and I've done videos before talking about buying and selling sports cards and working with Topps, the project. And I've had Blake on, Jameson, and F. Eric, and Lauren just recently. But I found our next guest actually on Twitter, and I want to share that real quick here with you. His name is Chris. It's CRT Sportscards. And let me give you a little preview of his latest video here.
It is the end of another weekend, Project 70, and this weekend is very exciting because we can now officially buy an artist's second player card in the set. Infinite Archives, Jackie Robinson, Gold, 1 of 1. But now we have this Project 70 Jose Canseco, and when you put them together, they make one single card. But we get Don Mattingly 7 times, and he has a massive water chew in his mouth. And before we begin, I did want to offer an apology to Action Bronson by mistakenly omitting your name when I was talking about that 1971 Topps Mattingly. When I used that cut, it didn't even dawn on me until the next morning that I used it and I didn't even mention your name. So apologies about my omission. But welcome to episode number 12 of the Project 70 show. My name is Chris, otherwise known on Twitter and Instagram is at CRT_sportscards. And my website is where you want to go for everything related to Project 70 and Project 2020. And this weekend, I'll be releasing the second week pricing for all of the live Project 70 cards. So if you're curious on the pricing, make sure you're on the website sometime around Sunday morning, because that is when I'll have all the pricing updated for you.
So that is Chris. I found him on Twitter. As everyone knows, I buy and sell sports cards on eBay, and I'm a reseller on Amazon. I mean, Chris was even featured in the Art of the Game magazine just recently. They did a nice article on him and how he got involved. He really, to me, is the expert, and he also was featured in the Beckett baseball card magazine back in February. They did a whole nice interview and article with him, and this is the price guide one that features him. And this one here I had got picked up. The Art of the Game is really pays tribute to the artist in different cards that have been working with sports and stuff. So really, there is nobody else out there that I can compare that really has done a great job featuring Topps Project 2020, is even working on Topps Project 70. I mean, spends a lot of time exclusively about the prices of the cards, the print runs, and he's doing Project 70. So I wanted to bring him on. I asked him probably a couple weeks ago, and he responded. I said, look, I want to record an interview with you, and we're going to name our top. There was 20 artists and 20 players for Topps Project 2020. So we're going to go down the show, and we're going to name our top 20. We're going to pick every artist and name the favorite card that we like of them. And then we're going to talk to him exactly about how he got involved with the project. So let's bring Chris out here, and I appreciate you guys watching. Hey, Chris.
Hey, how are you, Patdees?
Good. How are you, sir?
Great. Thanks for the invite. I appreciate it.
No, I appreciate it. I had sent you that message, and and sometimes if you're not connected and getting all the you're trying to pin down these people. Sometimes it's hard because I mean, I read the article that you worked in the auto collision industry.
Correct. That's true right now. Yes.
And you do that Monday through Friday then.
Yeah, so Monday through Friday, my work week is basically 6:30 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. since we're open 7 a.m. to 6 every single day.
Yeah, and when are you finding time to do all this stuff then?
So when I start recording every night at 7 o'clock, and back on the course Project 2020 days, towards the last, I would say 3 to 4 months of the set, I did videos every night. But this year I'm doing them 3 nights of the week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So I start recording right around 7 o'clock. And then I typically have my video up on YouTube by 9:15, depending on how the recording goes. But typically it takes about an hour and a half to record, about a 9 to 12 minute video, and then a little bit of editing, and then I put it out.
Right. Now, how did you get involved in the project? If anyone doesn't know, when officially did I kind of came in late when I found out about it. I think I was probably around 70 cards in, and then I found you and started hearing about it, and I'm like, wow, this is cool.
Yeah, so Project 2020 started in, I want to say, late March of 2020. I missed the very beginning. My first purchase wasn't until card 61 and 62, although I was sort of tracking it before then. But that wasn't when I really made my first purchase was 61 and 62.
And how did you come about, like, finding about? Are you a card collector?
So it's really kind of a happy accident how I came into Project 2020. From a collecting perspective, I am mainly a pre-war collector. I don't collect many modern baseball cards. I used to be a big case breaker, personal case breaker, not a group breaker, before really the hobby kind of exploded, where prices of the cases just became too expensive to do it on the in the big scale. Like I used to open up like 10 to 12 cases of Series 1 and then sell everything on my eBay store and go from there. But the way I got into Project 2020 was I just changed careers. So I work now, of course, in the auto collision industry, but I had spent the last 14 and a half years before that working for GameStop as a district manager. And I decided to change careers, and 12 weeks into my new career, I was furloughed. And so I recognized right then and there that this was an interesting time in the world. My parents never went through this, and it had been 100 years since something like this had happened in the world, much less in just America. And I wanted to record myself just so I could look back in 30 to 40 years and go, how did I respond to this time? Because it was so historic. And then I got furloughed a second time and a third time. But in the beginning, though, I created a YouTube show called Furloughed, and it's basically a vlog. But I didn't even know what a vlog was at the time. Mm-hmm. And so it was like a daily show. It was like half what I did during the day, and the rest of it was like sports cards, whether it be an eBay topic or a shipping topic or something random like that. And I don't even know if my first video right now, almost a year later, has 200 views on it. I mean, this was such a small show. It was never meant to be anything more than for me to look back in 30 years and go, what did I look like and what did I sound like when I was late 30s? You know what I mean?
Right.
And so then as that started going through, and I got furloughed starting in early April, and that rolled in through May. And then that's when Project 2020 started sort of, picking up some steam, and I started doing my website on it, tracking the images, tracking the print runs, doing some small stuff with it. And then I did 4 to 5 shows back to back under my furloughed series with around Project 2020 content. And I went from overnight from having like 50 views a day to having 500. And I'm thinking, wow, this is so random. And what do I have something here, but what do I have? And then when I got furloughed, when my furlough got extended for the first time through now June and July, I then released my Project 2020 show. And then overnight I was having 1,200, 1,300 views on an episode, every single day. And just 6 weeks ago, I could barely get 100 views in 3 weeks. So It was really just a happy accident. And you can even go back to my first videos to where they were really rough, done with the webcam. I wasn't comfortable with the camera, to where I am today, almost a year later. They're night and day difference, but you could just see my progression of being comfortable on the video over the past year.
Yeah, because I like I said, I found you on Twitter and I've been watching you, and nobody is doing the detail that you're doing as far as does Topps see what you're doing? So
yes. Now they have never Jeff Heckman has been great. So Jeff Heckman is the director of Project 2020. And at least to my understanding, he's the director again of Project 70. So after the Beckett article came out, I said, look, Topps and I have never spoken. They've never reached out. And that was never really my point. I never was looking for, accolades or recognition from Topps. I was doing it for fun because I loved the project. I loved what it was. And then Jeff sent me an email saying, hey, if we can set up a time, I'll jump on your show. And I just was never able to make it happen with my recording schedule with work and everything.
Right.
But then last week, and I emailed him and said, hey, Jeff, I got a couple of questions around Project 70. He quickly responded to me, gave me the answers I needed. And that's when I released that Monday episode where it said Topps answered my 4 biggest questions. So Jeff has been a good resource, but it's just been very basic, email communication. But Jeff's been a very good resource for me as what I think is still the director of Project 70.
Right. Yeah. My goal is, I want to interview about 3 or 4 artists a month. Mm-hmm. And what I'm going to do, and I said this to you in the message I sent you the other day, because people are interested in the Topps Project 20 and 70, I'm going to put in the description your link all the time. So that way, if people want to buy cards or look up information on them, I don't want to do a show and portray like these are investments or get into this. It's to me, just like you, I don't know. My downfall right now on cards is not knowing a lot of the players. Like Mike Trout, I hear about him, but when I was a kid and cards were 50 cents a pack, and you just didn't sit around watching TV like a lot of kids do, looking at their iPhones and YouTube and the internet. So I had worked at a diner, and the chef there had done sports card shows. So he would send me up to the store to go buy the cards. And we would sit there and go through the cards. They were 50 cents. And I would look, wow, this guy hit so many home runs. And I started writing players. So I really got to know the cards and the players back then just because, but then when you get older and you have kids, you kind of, I lost a little interest in it. And this really sparked the interest again into wanting to buy and sell cards and really get into the cards where I want to do a website where I, feature home run kings and different things like that. But I mean, the analytics that you provide, I mean, that's a lot of work that you do.
It is. I mean, after I do my videos every night, I mean, to update the images alone and the checklist on the website take about 30 minutes. And so, but it's worth it because I enjoy it, and then everyone else enjoys it too. And it's the best resource out there for, not only Project 70, but for Project 2020. So.
Yeah. I mean, what you're doing, honestly, you would think that you would be working for Topps because I mean, you can go on there and what's the best card to buy if you think you're going to, I mean, there are still some cards out there going for hundreds of dollars of Topps Project 2020. And, if anyone who hasn't been paying attention, you released the number, it was like a little bit over 2.4 million cards. Yeah. I mean, that was a phenomenal, I mean, how could you not say that's a success at what, $18, $20 average? That brought a lot of money into Topps and really highlighted a lot of people. To me, and I was out driving today, and I was thinking about this interview that we were going to do, and it reminded me of back in the 80s when I would watch wrestling, and they really were trying to be mainstream, and they brought people in from rock and roll. And it seems to me that Topps is bringing in these artists to really get outside of just the regular people that are collecting to make it. I mean, this year they brought in Snoop Dogg.
Yeah.
And, they're really trying to get out there in mainstream that, this is not your vintage cards. Like, I don't know if you follow Gary V.
I know. Yeah. Gary V. Yeah.
Yeah. He talks a lot about collecting cards and stuff like that. So what we're going to do here, we're going to go over a couple. I asked Chris to kind of we got together a list of and we're going to go down and pardon me if I butcher any of the names, but we're going to start and we're going to do it in alphabetical order. But, the first artist is Andrew. How do you say
Andrew Thiel.
Thiel. Yeah. So I'm gonna go first, and my first for Andrew, the card that I liked was card number 242, and I'll feature it on the screen here. Let me share it.
Now you've got to beat on these numbers because I don't know my numbers other than a couple. So
yeah, that's okay. Yep. So Topps, for me, this was my favorite card that Andrew did. And as you can see, and I'm pulling this information right from the Topps website, this was card number 242, Mariano Rivera.
Mariano Rivera.
Mariano. So print run was 3,196. That was a difficult card that they had to do, and I just love the artwork that he did on that one, and that's why. And some of these artists were very hard to pick one favorite card.
Yes,
because some of the everybody was different in their own way, but this was my favorite Andrew card. What was your favorite?
So for me on Andrew Thiel, my favorite, and I'm not going to do a lot of Jackies and Teds, although they are going to really sort of mix into my list here. But for me, it's just Frank Thomas.
Did you know the card number for that or no?
No, it's later in the set.
Okay, hold on.
This was when the foils were coming out now towards the end.
Oh, okay. So card number 331 that was. Yeah. And that had a print run of 2,841. Yeah, it's funny. I don't even remember that card. It got to be towards the end where, man, the way that they were doing, and if anybody doesn't know, they were doing 2 cards a day, Monday through Friday. And then when did they go to 3 cards a day, Chris?
They went to 3 cards a day. I want to say around like 320 or 3. I don't remember. Isn't it 300s? Because the print runs for the 300 cards on the secondary value are very different than the 200s, even though the print runs are different, or even though the print runs are kind of the same, because there were less buyers in the 300s. But I can't think for. I don't know for sure exactly when I don't remember exactly when they went to 3 per day, but that was when they were in 3 per day at that time.
Right. Okay, now the next artist was Ben Baller, and my favorite card was the Mark McGuire 191. Okay. And I am a little biased. I do like Mark McGuire because I remember in my 20s when they were doing him and Sammy Sosa were doing the I think it was 70 home runs, and that kind of sparked interest again in cards and baseball. And I remember, they were selling his Olympic card on like shop at home or something like that. And, and people were spending $75 and you had to get 10 of them. You know what I mean? I mean, they were selling, So what was for Ben Baller, what is your card?
So on Baller, it's very simple. This one has to be Jackie Robinson. Now, I did go back and forth between him and his Ted Williams and his Jackie, but to me, the Jackie is hands down his best card in the set. And look, I've said this numerous times on my show. Ben Baller's designs didn't really do it for me overall. But this one is one that I just really, really like because it's Jackie. There are diamonds on there. There is some flash on it, but you can see his emotion. You can see the sweat. It's just a great photo of Jackie that Baller used.
Yeah, I like the gold.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the cards. I tell you, it got to the point where it became addicting. That I don't know about you. I mean, I bought 200 cards.
Yeah, I bought a lot, and I have 4 or 5 or 4 complete artist sets. I have a Jackie set complete, Ted Williams, stuff like that. So I have more than I need to, but I got better at the end where I was not buying cards I wasn't collecting. I was like, if I'm not collecting them, I'm not buying them. So
right, I know. I think some people, and I wish I would have got into it. Honestly, I wish I would have got into it where I probably could have flipped some just to pay for the cards that I wanted.
Yeah.
And I mean, and there's people that did that.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest challenge we have right now with Project 70 is everyone's thinking that these first cards are going to be like the first cards in Project 2020, and they're not. I mean, we weren't even talking about Project 2020 when it first launched a year ago. Now everyone's talking about Project 70. So they're completely different sets, and the print runs are very different. And so we're trying to find those cards right now, which ones are flippable or valuable in the future. We just don't know, but it's not going to be the first cards like they are in Project 2020.
Right, and I see the average print run seems to be about 3,000.
I think it's just over 42 right now.
Yeah. All right. Now, my next card for in alphabetical order for Blake Jameson, it was the Roberto Clemente.
Okay.
And that was card number 336. And Blake, I tell you, has been so generous with his time with me. And he's actually been on my show twice. And about 6-7 months ago, and then he was on about 2 months ago. So he's really been, these guys are busy, and they get so many requests for people. But he said yes, and I brought him on, and his sister reached out to me, and the second time. And this is the card that for me, I just love the color scheme, and I love even the little. If you don't know, Blake has a tattoo of that looks like a little king's crown. And I just liked I liked all the simple. There's not a whole lot of color in here, and just realistic looking of Roberto, and that to me was my favorite Blake card.
Yeah, on Blake Jameson, there's nobody from an artist perspective last year was more open to the community, giving his time doing it. He would go on any channel, do any interview because he was just open to everybody, which was great to see. He was truly, I guess, the fan favorite artist last year.
Right, and I wonder if that's why then he worked with Topps and did the 1951, yeah. And this was a Tom Seaver, 47 of 51. I actually got wave 3 and 4. I didn't get 4 yet, but wave 3 to open yet. But if anyone doesn't know, that was the 51 cards that they did. So we had bought. Now, what was your favorite Blake card?
I think it's very similar to yours. The reason why I like mine, it's the Cal Ripken. And like on the Roberto, where he really stands out in front of the flag, I like the Cal the best because the blue he used in the back really makes Cal Ripken stand out in the front of the card.
Right. So that was card, and I'm marking all of these down. Yeah. Cal Ripken by Blake. Now, are you just to clarify, do you sell on eBay at all?
I have an eBay store right now. I used to sell all the time. That's what I did back in the day. I mean, now I sell sort of. I'm transitioning my pre-war collection from an entire trying to go for a T206 that now just doing polar bear. So like I have auctions ending every week where I'm selling all my old pre-war cards. But I do still have an eBay store up. I use it because I can get access to Terapeak, and that's where I get all of my sales data from. So for me, it's worth paying the $60 a month every month to eBay so I can use Terapeak.
Okay. I met a guy, I had interviewed him too, and it's funny because he almost, I think he goes by CBT cards, but his name is Chris.
Okay.
And he's from Kentucky, and he has about several thousand followers on Twitter, and that's all he sells. He knows nothing about the Topps Project 20 or 70. Yeah. But all he does is sell. He goes and buys bulk cards and probably like pre-80s, and he is selling some modern ones because they come in the things that he buys. But that's all he does, and he sells. I mean, he honestly sells thousands of dollars of cards a week through Twitter.
Wow!
And I'm like, wow. All right, so the next artist is Don C. And for me, it was and we didn't meet Chris, just so everybody knows. I didn't want to have each other skew our favorite. Yeah. We didn't talk about this before the show, and I asked him to pick, and we didn't share our list at all. So that's why it's taken a couple seconds to kind of pull up each other's. So mine was Tony Gwynn. And
the baseball bat, that's good.
Yeah, and I just like the baseball bat because it was so different from everybody else's card, and obviously baseball related. And it reminded me a little bit, and I have one of the cards right in front of me, that, and I didn't appreciate it at the time, was the 1987s.
Yep.
I actually, back in the day, I thought it was wood paneling. And not until I got older that I realized, well, no, dummy, that's the bat.
Yeah.
And I have this card. Actually, here's a Tony Gwynn right now, but they don't have the brown back on that one. So what was your favorite Don C card?
So mine was interesting here because one thing Don C did very well was reference things on his cards. Some of them were deep, some were really shallow. You could figure them out quickly. But the one I enjoyed the most was his George Brett because it had a Lord reference, and not a lot of people got that at first, and they didn't understand why there was a Lord reference on there. But to me, it was his George Brett card. So
George Brett too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now it's are those those records.
They're records. So Lord the artist released a card named Royals, and I don't know the entire story, but when I saw this card, I instantly figured out it was about Lord. And then he confirmed it on, I think it was Instagram or Twitter, but those are records, and it's because of Lord the artist.
Wow. It's funny because I never, when you first glance at it, you have to make a choice. What cards do I really want? And now that you say that, and you look at it says Parent Advisory, like it was an album cover.
Yeah.
And I never saw that. That's why, and I think you just recently said, any of the artists that do watch our channels, if you guys can reach out to us. We'd love to have you on our channel, on our shows. And even if you can only give, I know Chris had recently put, even if you can only give 10 or 15 minutes, that's fine. And if you want to come on, I know some artists are reluctant to they don't really talk about what they do. And if you want to share your story, come on, or what made you do a certain card. And there's things that you don't want to talk about, you just tell us.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, the next one, Ermsey. And I'll tell you, Ermsey to me is very popular. Like it just seems like he gets it's so. Some of the things that he is doing is just amazing.
Mhm.
So for him, I picked actually, and it was hard, was the Bob Gibson.
Oh yes, Island Bob. Yep.
Yeah, 84. I like the colors. Now, also for me, and this is not to criticize his artwork. It was when he does his art, a lot of times you don't really even recognize the player. It kind of breaks it up, and he kind of does a little comical thing about it. And this really was a cartoonish, but yeah, I knew that, oh, that's Bob Gibson and, the Cardinals. And so this was my favorite Bob. And again, keep this in mind. It's very hard to narrow it down one card per artist.
Exactly. Yeah. So on Ermsey for me, it was Ted Williams, and I think it was the yellow background. And Ermsey, when he first came out, all of us saw that Trout and we're like, what is this? This doesn't make any sense. How can Topps release this? We thought that was controversial, back in the day. But for me, it was Ted Williams.
And that was an early card too. That was a 58.
Yeah, that was right before I made my first purchase, and that's when I really was like, oh, I think that may be the card that I really was like. Then I got hooked on the set. I don't know what card it was exactly, but I remember seeing that card when it was available to purchase, and I was like, these are really interesting. There's something here, but what is it? Like, I don't get it, but these are different.
Right. And using the yellow background, it reminded me of the early cards that Ted Williams was on, so it drew to my eye because I did remember that. Now the next artist is F. And for me, I just had to pick this card because it really it defined 2020.
Yep.
I mean, for me, it had nothing to do with the player. This card, 20 years from now is what's that thing on his face? With the pandemic, COVID-19 shut down, and obviously I live in the Pennsylvania, New York area, and obviously I knew who Doc Gooden was, and New York Mets and stuff like that, and I just and I like a lot. Eric has actually been on my channel for an interview, and I actually just scored one of his Mike Schmidt artist proof.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it took me. I didn't get it that day. But I bought it in the aftermarket, and Mike Schmidt is my favorite player.
Oh, I got it. That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So who was your F.
I mean, we're on the same page here. I mean, this is what I used to call. I called it a moment card all year last year. This is a card that you can look back in 20 years, to your point, and go why it was produced, and you can talk about everything about this card because it was truly a moment in time. We're still wearing face masks now, but that to me is F.'s best card because it speaks to the time that we were in when Project 2020 released. Right.
Wow. So we do have one card that we agreed on. Look at that.
Yeah.
Okay. On Fucci.
Who we don't know who Fucci is yet, but we've never seen him or Ermsey.
Yeah. I've actually messaged Ermsey.
Really?
And I said, hey, he goes, I don't really do interviews.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, okay. You hate to hear no.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But it's just part of the gig. So my card here was Ricky Henderson.
Okay.
And card number 294. Chris, I'm going to adjust the light 1 second.
Okay, no problem.
I don't know if it gets me. Sometimes changing it back and forth, it gives me a little bit more light. Yeah. But for me, I just love the artwork. Yeah, that's why all the color scheme. I know that's Ricky Henderson. Sometimes some people are like, "Wow, how does that relate to the artist?" But I just love I love the difference of it. And to me, this was the card that. Who was your favorite Fucci?
So Fucci for me, and I'm from Texas originally. And when I saw this card, I just called it King of the Hill, and I've called it King of the Hill ever since. It's a Sandy Koufax. And I don't know why I'd call it King of the Hill, but for some reason that card resonates with me with King of the Hill. And so for me, it's Sandy Koufax.
And here's the Sandy Koufax card, 76. And I'll tell you, that's brave. And this is what I'll say about Fucci. It was very brave to do something where there's no facial details.
Yes.
Because, and I know when I took art class, to draw a face is very, very hard. But yet to kind of put that out as your own artwork, and then you start at first when you see it, you're like, oh, well, where's this? And then you start realizing this is part of what he does. And which I'm going to talk about another artist who is unique. That at first I was like, come on. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, we're down now. We're at Gregory Sif. And Gregory actually has been on. I'm trying to get Gregory to come on for me. And this is where there's a little bit of, and again, a little bit of bias here because of Mark McGuire, card 152.
The hamburger. Yeah.
I mean, that when I saw that card, I was like, wow.
Yeah.
I was like, I just love this card.
Yeah, Sif is one of my favorite artists in the set, and this is a great card because who would ever think to put a cheeseburger on a card? I mean, and he did it, and it worked. And so, yeah, you can't go wrong with this card from.
Well, I think the thinking is Big Mac.
Yep.
And I think wasn't that like his nickname, Mark McGuire?
Yes, Big Mac. So that's correct. Yeah, that's the whole point of it.
Yeah. So I think that as soon as you saw that, obviously couldn't use the word big, because of McDonald's and stuff like that. But yeah. It's amazing. I watched him on one of his shows actually doing some of the artwork and painting the cards. And, and just to sit there and kind of like, okay, what am I going to do for a card? And I just loved it. Yeah. Now, who was Gregory for you? What card?
Now, quick side note there. If you go back to Andrew Thiel's Mark McGuire card, I believe on the first image when it was first released, there was a McDonald's logo in the stadium. And when the card released, it was missing from the card. So speaking about trademarks and everything.
Oh, yeah. I didn't. Yeah.
Yeah. So on Sif, it's very difficult. I'm a massive Gregory Sif fan, so it's really hard to pick one. But it has to be. And I have his last two cards to me are to me my favorites because they're so different, and it really speaks to what Gregory Sif does as an artist as far as being out there doing what he wants to, which is his Roberto and then his Jackie. I mean, they both look so different than the player. And that's what I like about him.
You like Jackie Robinson and Roberto Clemente. Okay.
Yeah.
So let me.
Yeah, they're his last two cards in the set.
Very the red, white, and blue Americana.
Yep.
And then his Roberto.
Yep.
And I wanted to really make sure. Oh wow, that's nice. You know what that reminds me of?
What?
A Black American Express card.
Oh, there you go. Yep.
The gold card and stuff like that. Yeah, it has that high quality look. Yeah. And this is why when I wanted you to come on the show, I wanted to make sure, honestly, and I mean, I would love to interview everybody, but not everybody's going to say yes, is that we basically touched on every artist in Topps Project 20 that we could say, hey, look, there's one card that is that always easy? No. Now, the next one is Grotesque.
Mm-hmm.
For me, Grotesque was 187 Mike Trout.
The fish.
No, that's listed on Amazon. Hold on. There we go. So, wow, that had a good 11,405 was the print run. So that was one of the most successful ones, above average. I like the colors and again, red, white, and blue for me, and it really just stuck out. And it's clear, it's cut, and I liked it. I thought it was it looked honestly, it looks more like a card that Topps would probably design, not like an outside artist. And I liked it.
Yeah, and with the thing Grotesque did so well is his figures always hold up the image, and those two Trouts there on the side holding up Mike Trout, I thought was a really cool play on the card.
Now, who's for you?
Yeah, for me, for Grotesque, this is another moment card in the set. It's just Jackie Robinson. Because you have the kneeling figures and you think back to what happened in the summer of 2020. This is another card, just like the F-Dot card. You can look back in 30, 40 years and talk about what happened during the summer of 2020.
I see. Now, honestly, and then I didn't even think about that. That it's a different, now you've really enlightened me on a different perspective how to look at this card. And And that's where I think it would be neat to interview more artists. Is what made you kind of come up with that? But yeah, I like it.
Yeah, because some of the artists, like Blake, like when I had him on my show, the only guy I interviewed last year, he really kind of kept the social themes out of his cards. And like F. Dot, the mask is not really maybe a social issue, but it kind of is these days. And
right.
Grotesque had the kneeling figures there. So some of the artists took it head on. Some artists decided to play it safe and not do anything that could be controversial or seen left or right or however you want to
right.
categorize it.
Right. And we're actually going to get into that because there was a card just recently this past week that I was like, oh my God. And we're going to talk after this next card. For me, Jacob Rochester, to me, was Roberto Clemente's card number 223. And that had a print run of 4,040. I just love this card. The artwork and the kind of, the kids, watching them. And I think there's a story behind this with this picture that, they had made another card, but they couldn't use that image or something like that. And this was the card that Topps approved. But this was, to me, was the best card that he did. And people don't realize, I mean, this is a painting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this wasn't, and not to knock any of the artists, this was nothing computer generated. This was an actual painting that he did to create this card. And you only see the card, but really when you zoom in to the detail, and it's just a great looking art piece to me.
Yeah, I mean, Rochester does really good work with his fonts. He's a big font person. And then, of course, at Clemente, his original one was having the kids. He was like holding the kids on the shoulders or his arms. And they couldn't use the faces of the kids for obvious reasons. So they had him flip it around. So, yeah.
Right. Now, who was your favorite Jacob Rochester?
Yeah, Don Mattingly. I think the look of Mattingly in that painting was he's like looking through your soul. And so I just thought the font lettering with Rochester, the pink or pinker magenta background with the look of Mattingly, I thought was just a really good card. It's one of my, I think, top 10 cards in the set just from the look of it. Yeah.
And I knew Don Manley. It was for me, I mean, his rookie card was 1984, and I was only 12 years old, and so I knew him. And it was nice because a lot of the ball players, obviously they retired, but it was nice to see him involved because he was the coach of the Dodgers, and it was nice to look. Oh wow, Don Manley's still involved. So I was glad to actually see him in the set. And have some old school people in that were involved through the 80s. All right, so that was the top 10 for the first 10 artists. Topps Project 70, and I forget is the card that I wanted to talk about last week was Yogi Bear.
Ron English, there you go.
Yeah, what did you think of that card?
What I said on the show is what I still believe right now. I want to see his next card. Look, it's easy to take one card and go hyper reactive about it and get one way or the other with it. I want to see his next card. If all of these cards look like this, then there's no story there. But right now, there's a story.
The artist card.
The artist, yes.
Right.
I want to see Ron English's second card. I think that's when it really gets different. Now, if this Yogi Bear ends up being way out in left field, and it then becomes like a slight in the future of him, then sure, we have a story there. But if he plays off of other players' names in the future, like a Coco Crisp, right? If he does something like that, then there's no story. That's just what he's going for. So the biggest question right now is, where are these artists going? And with only one card, none of us really know at the moment where the artists are taking us in this journey.
Right. When I first saw it, I was like, what? I thought it was a baby picture. I'm like, what? And then somebody, I don't know if you saw the reference, there's an actual toy of Yogi Bear, the cartoon, sitting like on a tree stump or something like that. Okay. And if you compare the two, it's exactly what he did. He was kind of poking fun at the cartoon Yogi Bear, and I was like, oh, so yeah, I said, you know what? I'm going to buy the card. Yeah. Maybe the run will be real low and it came out over 3,000. I saw.
Yeah, everyone's smart these days. Everyone tries to find that angle, and unfortunately, when everyone tries to find that angle, we all blow it up to 3,000. So
Yeah.
it's not really low printed.
I wonder if I could. Have you seen that toy at all?
I have not actually.
Yeah, somebody posted because someone had posted it on the response of the granddaughter.
Oh yeah, I saw that. I mean, I saw her tweet about
she wasn't too happy with it, and there's a toy. And I can't pop it up real quick, but there's a toy out there. I put in Yogi Bear toy cartoon that, and I'm like, oh, okay. And boy, when you see the toy, you honestly you just don't feel you kind of don't feel offended. You don't feel you say, oh, I see what he was doing, and I was like, and then you know what? I looked at it different. I was like, oh, okay. And at the end of the day, every artist has their own interpretation of what they want to do, as far as and just let them. I'm sure sometimes people read too much into it. So, I mean, what are you thinking now with the top? I mean, this Topps Project 70 is huge. I mean, to do 1,040 cards. I mean, I'd have a talk with my young 20-year-old son. I'm like, Josh, I said, you got a budget. I mean, because he was getting to the point where, it's like, you're spending $100 a week on cards.
Yeah.
You just can't do it.
It's massive, and if they go to 4 to 5 cards a day pretty soon, I think one thing that they didn't confirm with me one way or the other was it if it was going to end this year or not. So I don't think they know yet at the moment. But if they speed up the calendar to 4 to 5 cards per day, there are going to get cards are going to get lost in the shuffle because nobody can afford 5 cards a day, 25 a week, or if they do it, maybe build your own bundle, something like that. But this is a massive set. I was surprised that they not only came out with a new set like this so quickly, but then to basically blow it out of the water from 400 to 1,020, it's like that's a massive increase.
Yeah. Now, what do you suspect? I was thinking about they did 2.4 million. They might only get maybe 3 million in the whole scheme of things as far as Project 70. So, everybody, at first thinks, they run the numbers and they're thinking, well, since it's 2.5 times, this could be 5. I don't see that happening.
No, I don't think it is either because I don't think we still really understand what happened in May with Project, 2020. I mean, the fact that we sold 160,000 cards in 48 hours with that, with the Nolan Ryan and the King Griffey Jr. I mean, that's just not going to be, parallel this year at all. There's nothing close to that this year. So yeah, I mean, even if we stick at 3,000 cards per release, that's only 3 million cards, but yet they're paying the artist. They're paying 31 more artists. Those commission fees are not going to be cheap. And I can only assume Snoop Dogg is not doing this for free. So, they have some really famous people in here. So this has to be expensive for them.
Yeah. I wonder how, I don't know if anyone publicly talks about it. I kind of thought about that. I mean, Blake was doing an interview, I think, with Lauren, and Lauren's actually been on my channel, and they were talking about how the one card did 75,000, and he said he kind of just hoped that all his Project 70 cards total would do 75,000, because that was such an astronomical number, This I wonder with this and though Topps Project 70 and looking back at Topps Project 20, it's a different. Is it a different? It's not an investor. Is it the person that, like, for me again? It sparked more interest into cards again, and I love the artwork. But these I don't see these cards. In other words, they're not going to be like like a 1953 Mickey Mantle that 30 years from now it could be. But I mean, who knows? Who knows what people are willing to pay? If you like a particular person as far as a player and you want that card, honestly, Chris, what I like about it is knowing the print run. There's always that mystery. Back in 1985 Mark McGuire's Olympic card, how many cards of that really are out there?
Exactly. Yeah,
you don't know. And when I started getting serious about collecting cards, meaning that if I was going to be a collector and I wanted them to be worth money down the road, I was going to give them to my kids, or down the road I was going to sell them, I would buy PSA cards. So I wasn't going to buy the Mark McGwire $8, $10 card. I was going to spend the 30 and get the grade at 8 or 9. Do you get involved in PSA cards at all?
So I was last year towards the middle of later the year buying graded PSA 10 and BGS 9.5 Project 2020 cards because there was no premium on them. People were paying basically the same rate as a base card for them. So I was buying up cheaper ones to hold them for the future, but I don't typically buy. I'll buy PSA and SGC pre-war Hall of Famers, but nothing modern.
Right, exactly. I'm the same way. Again, my favorite player is Mike Schmidt, and I actually have a set from 1 to 8, even half grades of all Mike Schmidt's rookie card.
Wow.
Yeah, and I have a couple Mickey Mantles, and I have cards honestly that probably aren't going to be worth a whole lot in the future. But to me, I like them, and I don't have a lot. Back years ago when I used to be in the restaurant business, I used to do eBay as a side hustle. Okay. And I remember selling to look at prices of cards the last year. I sold a Joe Montana rookie card graded 9 for $450. 2 of them 6 years ago. Though that card now is $2,200.
Wow, that's a crazy return in just a couple of years.
Yeah. I mean, what do you attribute? I think, honestly, this is my opinion, and since I am a reseller, not just a guy that likes cards, I think what happened was this past year, peoples who have disposable income, because they weren't spending it at the stadiums, buying hot dogs, parking, tickets, shirt, that gave them money to buy stuff that they physically could hold in their hand. Not just cards, because people were buying collectibles. I see it because I do reselling and stuff like that. I mean, what do you think? I mean, what's your opinion on what has happened the last year?
I mean, when you go back to what you said about Gary Vee earlier, and I'm a big believer in Gary Vee from the perspective of hustle and just the perspective of working and things like that. But his big point was sports cards are coming back now because people my age who are in their late 30s have kids now who are 15, 16, 14. And I don't have kids myself, but all of them are going back to their childhoods, and sports cards were the thing 20, 30 years ago. And it just sort of that natural cycle of what's coming and going. And right now it's sports cards. And it's kind of cool, as they say, to be an investor in sports cards. I don't really subscribe to that mentality of sports cards. I think there is a buy and hold and flip game. I don't really know if you can actually invest in sports cards, but that's a whole nother topic another day.
Yeah.
I think it's that whole just ecosystem of people older who grew up in the late 80s now having kids, and it just sort of and we were home last year for a lot of time. There was no gambling on sports. There was no daily fantasy.
Right.
Much more disposable income out there. It just kind of was a happy accident that we are now here in the sports card world with it.
Yeah, I agree, because I think we're on the same page. Is you take money from, like I said, not being able to go someplace, and that money is being spent somewhere else, and that's kind of honestly why we had the budget to kind of do it. So let's get into. I asked you to come on for like an hour. We're gonna probably go a little bit over, but
that's all good, no problem.
The next card in alphabetical order was JK5. And for me, it was, let me share the screen. Mark McGwire, card number 216. And again, you'll see this is the third Mark McGwire card I picked, but I just love the artwork of it. And I knew this reminded me, I think it was I don't think it was the 87 or 88 Topps card. Was it the 87, Chris?
I'm 85, 87. Yes, 87.
Yeah, the stance of it, and it was recognizable to me. And then putting the cape on, and I thought it was cool that he tied his own little signature into the cape, JK5, and then you see another reference to the hamburger. And I just love this card. This guy, honestly, I think is probably one of the most underrated artists, because it's like he takes I remember years ago when they released those adult books that people could color, and if you look at what that is, I mean, and I saw a video recently of how he's drawing this in black and white and then going back in and coloring all this in the detail. There's so much work that is just being done on his cards, but to me this was the favorite card for me for JK5.
He's an incredible. I mean, he's an incredible tattoo artist, and then to add the color. So where you pick McGuire, which is his full color, I gravitate back to more of his black and white stuff. So for me, it's just Willie Mays. It's his third card. I want to say it's like 51 or something like that in the 40s or early 50s.
48. Yep.
48. There we go. Yep.
I mean, it's amazing just the detail. And his name, I guess, is Joe, because I've seen him online and stuff like that. But just you know, and when it's funny because you mentioned about tattoo, I'm like, oh, that's probably why he's so good at being able to draw all those fine lines and the detail. And
those are words there too, like under his jersey there, like right by his collar. Those are all scripts that he's made up and everything. So the videos that he makes for his cards were some of the most entertaining to watch. Like his Derek Jeter video, I probably watched it 30 times because I just couldn't get enough of it because he just talked about his detail with the diamond and the bow and arrow. And so yeah, JK5 for me is a fascinating person from his design perspective and his thought process.
Okay, now the next artist was Joshua Vids. Am I saying that right? Vids?
Joshua Videz.
Videz, okay.
Yeah.
And to me, it was the Jackie Robinson card. I just like it. Huh?
Super classic look on that Jackie.
Yeah. I just love the look of the card. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't sure about Joshua because he was probably the most his stuff is very simple, but when you look into what he does, now you like, wow, now you recognize like I can't say that with every artist that I would recognize their work. Mm-hmm. Now everything I see with that, you know, looks like a Sharpie and things that he's done. That's Joshua. Mm-hmm. And how many people can you say that? For you, who was for Joshua?
So for me, it was just Mike Trout because I've always said for the longest time I want him to do a black and white set because that's what he does best in his real artwork. And his Mike Trout is probably the closest we got to a outlined black and white full on card for Videz.
And that had a print run of 8,501, which probably the modern day people who know Mike Trout really, you know, that looks like a modern card.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Now the next one was Keith Shore, and for me, who was your Keith Shore? Let's pick.
So it's one of the most iconic cards in the set. It has to be his Bob Gibson. That is to me my favorite Keith Shore card. Yeah, I think it was his third card out.
Oh, okay, yeah. And here's another artist that once you see, like, you know, it sort of reminds me. Keith's artwork reminds me of sort of like The Simpsons.
Yeah.
Like when you see it, you know, and so he had a print run of 1450, which is actually low.
Very low. That was pre-bubble. That was the first 60 cards or really before the bubble started. And so, yeah, that's a really low. That card still sells for like $200 right now. So very low.
Yeah. And I was going to ask you that because, you know, there has to be with that low print run. Now, for me, the Keith Shore card that I liked was Mike Trout. And I just thought it was so. Oh,
with the Harper? Yeah.
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 I'm like, oh my God. Like, you know, they're in the back giving each other, you know, a haircut. And I just thought that. Now that didn't show. Oh, okay. So I'm glad I wrote it down. This had a print run of 6,824. I remember when this card came out, the artist proof one pulled up. That's why it's not showing the print run. And if anyone doesn't know, the artist proof, and we could talk about that real quick. When they started the Topps Project 2020, what was the price of the artist proofs?
They were $100, like they were at the beginning of Project 70.
Yeah, and then towards the end, they were $299.
Correct, $300.
Yeah. Now, did you get any?
No, I've never tried to buy them because you can't buy them. Well, you can't buy them unless you don't have a bot. I mean, they sell out so quickly.
Yeah,
that
you got to sit and wait an hour and a half.
Exactly. So yeah, there you go. Exactly. Now towards the end of the set, those are really cool. Towards the end of the set, they were available online for like an hour or so because they weren't being sold as well at $300. But that was towards the very back end of the set. But at the beginning, they were selling out. I mean, within seconds. They were never even online available to be purchased.
Yeah, I bought one from Topps Project 20 just to buy it. And actually, if I could sell it and make a profit, I would have sold this one. But I guess I got in at the wrong time. So it is what it is because, man, I was so frustrated with the Mike Schmidt one. I every time I kept on, it was going to go in the cart. It would like, I don't know what happened. And Mike Schmidt's card sold out in seconds.
Wow.
What I wish they would do is, like, if you buy tickets on Ticketmaster, it holds you there and you got like 3 minutes to complete the sale. And I think with sliding the puzzle card over and doing I was like, and the other two cards, Chris, I could have bought probably for the next 10 minutes.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, so there immediately 5 minutes after, somebody had the card listed for $295 or something like that, and I offered him $225. He wouldn't take it.
Yeah.
And, but I did wind up buying one the other day for $250, only because it's my favorite ball player. But that's a good chunk of change for one.
It is, but it's also not. I mean, yeah, it's basically kind of like double or whatever the price was at the beginning, But $250 is not that bad. It's not $1,000 because there are a lot of people out there last year who spent thousands on these artist proofs that are worth a fraction of what they are now. So $250 is, at the end of the day, it's not that much. But yeah,
right,
yeah.
Okay, now the next artist is King Saladin.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
For me, it was, Jackie Robinson.
Yep.
I just love that. Had a print run of 3,159. I just like the card. And actually, this in Project 70, he did a Bryce Harper, which I'm a Phillies fan, and I wound up actually getting for $99. I got the artist proof.
Oh, there you go. That's nice.
And I bought 5 of the regular cards. So, but I'm not going to sell that because I am a Phillies fan. I'm going to keep that. Now, for what card for you was for King?
So for me, it's number 61, and it's for the simple reason is this is the very first card that I bought in bulk. This is my first purchase on Project 2020. So I bought that card, and I bought this card 62, which is Sophia Chang's Ichiro, but that was the very first card I purchased.
This was the very first card?
Correct.
Now, when did you say you bought it in bulk?
Yeah, I bought 10 of that one. And then I bought, I think, 20 or 30 Ichiros. And this is, of course, this is back when this is back when the print run would end, and then the next moment they're worth like $20. And then like a day later, they're worth like 25, 30. They were like instant flips back then. And the shipping wasn't that delayed. But the moment 61, 62, then 64, then the shipping started being delayed. And then we had the bubble at 88, 89. So it was sort of the start. It was 61 and 62 were the beginning of the bubble. And that's where everything kind of fell apart for the set during the summer months. But those were my very first bulk purchases of the set.
Well, and I had heard that they had run out of plastic cases.
Correct. They ran out, and that's what delayed the shipping for so long. That's why you'll find cards with smaller cases or different size width cases, because they were literally buying any case they could get to get these cards out because they just ran out of supplies.
Yeah, I mean, I was waiting on average for Topps Project 26 weeks for cards.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now I see the top. I'm seeing Topps Project 70 sometimes in 10 days.
Oh, it's incredible. And Jeff said that they have just a crazy amount of surplus right now of cases, and that's the only reason why that they fell behind last year, and that's why they're staying ahead of the game this year. Is they just have all these cases, and I read an article somewhere where they said like Jeff had said something like 40,000 cases for a manufacturer was like an entire year's worth of cases, and we were selling cards at times in 24 hours or 48 hours over 40,000. So the supply of these cases was just not there to support, 2.4 million plus cards.
Right. Exactly. I mean, I know our local card shop where my son just bought these top loaders because what we're doing is putting the 51s we have in the Blake actually recommended these plastic that can kind of hold them in place.
Oh yeah, I've seen those. Yes, definitely.
Yeah, and it has a little indentation, and then we're just putting them in these hard covers like this. But the guy said not for months they won't be able to get these hard covers. So, that's one way to, if you want to. This was a nice set too. That if you did it right for $80, you could get the whole set. So, Chris, did they did Topps or was that somebody make a card of you?
No, so I made it myself. So
okay.
I made it. It was sort of a someone had asked me recently, or towards the end of Project 2020, hey, can I get your autograph? And I'm just a guy making a video. I didn't think anything of it, and so I said, you know what? Let me do a final card bundle. So what I offered on my website was, you can buy the artist's final card, and then I will include a signed card of me. So I had Topps make me some cards. I paid for them. I included the images. Like, you could do a custom card on the Topps website. And so I included a regular one, and then there were 2 short prints, and there was a super short print. So there was there was 1 out of 6, and there were 2 out of 18. Just some fun case cards for some, I sold 42 final card bundles. So I do have autographs out there, but those were just all for fun. And
I thought that was cool. And
I
wonder how that had come about.
Yeah, so they're right here actually. So like, this was a short print, but like doesn't really work. Let's see.
Oh, okay.
So I just made it, and then like on the back it just says, the main thing is the back. So it's like, thank you for subscribing, and then I'm honored to delivering your final card for you. So yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So it was just a little fun thing I did at the end of the set.
Yeah. All right, the next artist we're down to is Matt Taylor. And for me, the card was number 113, Tony Gwynn.
A lot of flower.
I like, and I do have a little bias against home run kings, guys that now Tony Gwynn always stuck out for me in the 80s and stuff like that. But this was the card that I liked that Matt had done.
Yeah. To me, it was his first card. It was Ricky Henderson. I don't know why I never got off of his first card. I'm not saying his other cards aren't as good, but but for me, his Ricky Henderson stands out to me as his best card.
And this is his Ricky Oh wow, that's cool. Yeah, that is a sharp looking card, and this is the first time. Oh, no wonder it's card 21. It only had a print run of 2,100. How's that card selling?
That sells for, I think, right about $100. I can't remember exactly right now, but that 2,000 back then was a lot. It was like, oh my gosh, 2,000. The set's crashing, right? You're printing 2,000 cards in the 24-hour period or 48-hour period. So, but that's a first player card. I'd have to check the website to know the pricing for sure. But let's see. Let's check real quick. Hang on. I'll tell you. If it'll load, I'll have the number for you. Just 1 second.
No problem. Hey guys, you guys are watching this. I really appreciate it. Again, in the description below, we'll check out Chris's YouTube channel. He's doing videos too over there. Check out his Twitter. And if you guys haven't subscribed to me, my name is Patdees, and I'd appreciate the support.
There it is. So just for example, for the last 4 days for that card, we're looking at, one second player cards here. So that one was $85, but from 3.2 to 3.8, that card was selling for $104, and it's been averaging over $100 over the past month or so.
I remember when speaking of Ricky Henderson, the Roberto or the Blake Jameson was going for $300 or $400, and I was like, wow. I was able to snag one for like $35-40 a couple months ago, but I was like, wow. I mean, you for a while you couldn't touch that card under $300.
Yeah, the summer months were crazy for us, and then of course we had a really good surge at the end of the set in January. The prices started going back up again, and then Project 70 came out, and then the prices started falling again.
Right.
But it has, I said today on Twitter, the good thing with Project 70, even though Project 2020 prices are falling, it's the fact that it's confirming just how rare some of these Project 2020 cards are. I mean, a print run of 1,400, 1,300, 1,200 is very, very small.
Oh, exactly. Especially, like I said, when there's a lot of cards that there's millions being made.
Correct.
And to be able to basically say, hey, there's only 1,300 of this card in the world. And if you get anybody that, like, for example, likes, somebody in relation to the Yankees and a Yankees player, they're gonna, want to, if they want to collect cards, they're gonna want that card. And I don't see you losing money on really a $20 card.
No,
it's not like you're buying a $2,000 card.
correct.
Mr. Cartoon, who is your favorite on Topps Project 2020?
So interesting story on this one. This is one of the first cards that when I saw it at lunch, I just basically out loud said, wow. And it was his Ichiro card. This was, to me, something I didn't expect to see from Mr. Cartoon, but it was a real wow moment for me when I saw this card.
Ichiro?
Yeah, Ichiro.
Spell that for me.
ITHIRO.
ITHIRO?
Yeah, Ichiro Suzuki.
Oh, okay, Ichiro. Oh, okay, here we go.
So
now,
yeah, that's my favorite card.
Yeah, huh?
That's my favorite card of Ichiro, or Mr. Cartoon, sorry.
Okay. And that's card number 272.
Mm-hmm.
Now, honestly, I don't know nothing about this player at all.
Yeah, okay.
And that kind of makes it hard to sometimes like a certain card just because I don't know nothing about the guy. I mean, He's from overseas, I assume.
Yeah, so I live in Seattle, and of course he played for the Mariners for most of his career.
Oh,
okay. And 2 years ago, I was lucky enough. We were in Tokyo for the opening day series with the Mariners in Athletics, and I was able to see him retire in Tokyo at the Tokyo Dome. And so to understand how much of a god Ichiro is basically in Japan, in Tokyo, was an incredible experience. And so to see that card come out after having that experience, to me, is just, to me, it's an amazing card overall.
And Japan is really into baseball too, right?
Yeah, it was incredible to go there to just in general for baseball and then for the opening day series. Yeah, the fans and then the exhibition games and all that good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, for me, my favorite Mr. Cartoon card, and he's the number 16 artist in this list, was Ted Williams.
Oh, very good. Yep, with the plane and everything.
Yeah, card 327. I love the color scheme. I love the portrait. And this card really stood out for me. And again, it's always hard just to pick one, but I had to pick one, and this was my favorite one as far as Mr. Cartoon. Now, the next one, is it Naturel? Am I saying that right?
Yeah, Naturel. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know do you know that person's background? Or?
I don't know. I should know more about him, but I don't know. But yeah, why do you ask?
No, I just wonder. Okay. It's funny because when I had Eric come on, FDOT, you wonder where sometimes they come up with their artist name. If they're, obviously that's not his real name. Not like Tyson Beck is using his real name. Yeah. Blake. So you have a lot of artists that are using different names that they come up with. Sort of like musical artists that come up with fictitious names. So I just wondered and there'd be a guy I'd like to interview, like, how'd you come up with that name? Now, some people don't want to share that story. But for me, my favorite card was the Sandy Koufax.
Yep.
Number 89. And I would like to know, and is what is it's like, you see the symbols below the name?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what's that stand for?
It's his name. So he draws in triangles. So that's one of the reasons why I like his artwork. But he draws in triangles, and his name, that's just how it just says Sandy Koufax there, pitcher, the Dodgers. So yeah.
Yeah, I can make out the Dodgers, but I wasn't sure what the bottom was. And I thought, oh, okay. And I mean, obviously he's doing something different than, and then he's another artist. And now when I see his cards, was this person brought on Project 70?
Yeah, so the only artist not in Project 70 is Grotesque. And Grotesque is also the only artist that didn't release a rainbow foil last year. So I don't know why that is, but he was not included in Project 70.
Oh, okay. Who was your favorite card on?
So it's Jackie Robinson, card number 3. It's the one, it's on my wall. I'll move it right there. So the famed artist print.
Oh, okay.
Right there. So the Facebook group for Project 2020 bought that for me. So I'm always very thankful for that. But the Jackie Robinson card is my absolute favorite for Naturel.
Why don't you explain real quick, basically, about the artwork?
Yeah, so towards the end of the set, and they still have them on the website right now, there are they're called framed artist prints. They're signed by the artist. They are $400. They were doing sales in the holidays, but they also included a potential chance of a silver framed. I think they were out of 20. And then there is a gold 1-of-1 frame out there also. The artwork is the same. They're all signed, but they're numbered differently. And they're just 5 cards of the artist from Project 2020.
Now, did they do that? Did they do that for all the artists?
All 20 artists are out there. No, actually they don't. I'm wrong about that. I think there's 19 or 18 artists have prints available on the website right now. And only one of them is sold out. And that was the Trout. The rest of them are all still available for sale, but they only released 5 per artist.
Yeah. Now my next, and I don't know how to say this artist name, and I'll need your help, Chris, on this. Okay. Oldman Len? No,
it's Old Man Allen.
Old Man Allen. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so basically just break it into 3. Old Man Allen.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I like to. Is that his real name? But this for me was the Mike Trout. It just reminded me of a ticket stubs, going to and it was different from what anybody else had done. And I like this card. It had a pretty good print run, 6,810.
Yeah.
I mean,
for Trout, I mean, that's a low number for Trout, but it's a big number overall for the set. So yeah.
Right. Now for who was your favorite for him?
I went back and forth on this one, but for Old Man Allen, it has to be the Jackie Robinson, and it's for the same reason I like the Ben Baller. The look, the emotion on Jackie's face is just, to me, second to none. It's even better than the Baller's card for Jackie Robinson.
Yeah, it's a nice. It has a very vintage. It's a very vintage photo. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's obviously not doctored at all.
No. And that's what Old Man Allen does. I mean, he takes photos. His artwork is photos. He takes photos of sneakers, of fashion, and older stuff. And that's where I don't know where he gets his name from, but that's his Instagram profile. It's Old Man Allen shoes and everything. So that's why you don't get drawings from him like the traditional artist. But his artwork is photography.
Oh, okay. Now we're getting down to our last 2 artists here. Sophia Chang, Chris.
Mm-hmm. Yep. For me, go ahead. Sorry.
That's all right. Since I have it pulled up, is Tony Gwynn, card number 225. I again, and I think this is probably 1, 2. Yeah, this is my 3 out of the 20 cards. There was 3 Mark McGuire and 3 Tony Gwynn, and I just love this card. And again, it was tough because I thought she did something fun with her cards and all the little. Things, the little stats and the little writings that she did. I really enjoyed her cards.
Yeah, they were really educational. You could actually take the 20 players and look at the front of the card and learn something about the player.
Yeah, and she seemed like that she had fun with it. And what I like to see a woman that was involved doing it, because everybody always says, it's a man's sport. And, to see a woman artist do it, that I really liked. For you, who was your Sophia Chang?
So you can leave up that Tony Gwynn. That was actually my favorite. Sophia.
Oh, really?
It was, yeah. Because of the reference of basketball on the card, the 18 dimes. So that's a very deep reference for Tony Gwynn when it comes to his basketball ability. And it kind of gets missed even though it's in the middle there almost, it does get missed if you're not really looking at it. So
yeah. Wow. Oh, so there was 2 cards.
Yep.
All right. So now the last Tyson Beck, I'm going to allow you to pick first.
Okay. This is the card that made me decide to collect this player, and it's his Ted Williams. Once I saw Tyson's Beck Williams, I said, okay, I probably need to collect the other Ted Williams, but I really, really like Tyson Beck's Williams.
And actually, I just confirmed the other day, Tyson is actually going to be on the show April 21st, and he's from Australia. We did all our stuff the other day. People don't realize what it takes. I'm not like I ask people, but sometimes it's going back and forth, and because I want them to feel comfortable when they come on the show. That I also want them to maybe watch the channel because I want them to feel this is a family friendly show that I enjoy. There's a lot of here. Me and Chris been talking about this for an hour and 15 minutes, and you can see that I really enjoy talking about this project from an artist and from a collecting in baseball, and it has nothing to do with the money, especially this Project 20 and Project 70. I really enjoy the artwork, and I mean, I sit and look at it's funny because my 20-year-old really never had no interest in baseball cards until Topps Project 2020.
Oh, neat. Okay.
And now he's messaging me from his job. Hey, Dad, did you see the card today? That one, that one's, and I love that. Now, for me, my favorite Tyson Beck card was number 55, George Brett.
Okay.
And I like the color. And again, some of these cards I picked from an art perspective, nothing to do with the player. I mean, as you saw, I was a little biased towards Mark McGwire and Tony Gwynn. But I wanted to do this to represent every artist, not that we basically had, I like 15 Ben Baller cards. I really didn't feel that I wanted to be fair. But now I'm gonna I asked Chris, and I'm gonna ask him to go first. But what was your favorite card overall in the whole set?
So if I had to sell everything and only keep one card, the only card that I'm keeping and never getting rid of is Natural's Jackie Robinson. I can't move that card. Everything else is for sale eventually, but not that card.
And that was the painting that you had up on the wall?
Correct. Yeah.
So,
and then the actual card.
This was Chris's favorite card from Topps Project 2020. Now, anyone that watches me, there's always a little joke. I am a collector of vintage lunchboxes. I'm known for vintage lunchboxes and baseball cards and one other thing. And when I saw the card, I was like, oh my God, I wish I could have called him up and he could do a shirt for me because, and I already, obviously featured it, but it just was the cheeseburger card because
yeah.
If you read in my description about me, it says I will work for cheeseburgers because I have a friend that buys storage units and we meet up and she sometimes tries to give me, no, I don't want no money. She treats me for lunch. And Mark McGwire is my favorite player when I was in my 20s. And I big fan of him and the cheeseburger. And this card just kind of defines me personally that I liked, and this was my favorite Topps Project 2020 card. Now we're going to talk a couple more minutes about Project 70. Let me feature on Topps here. If you guys are interested in buying any of the Topps cards, you go to Topps.com. I've had people message me, hey, Pat, how do I get any of these cards? Now, what they're doing different this time is they're featuring 3 cards a day, Monday through Friday, and these were the releases, and I think it's 72 hours?
70 hours this year.
Oh, 70 hours.
Yeah.
Okay. And what they're doing is you have 70 hours to buy the cards. And sometimes that plays into my budget because it could be a Thursday and not having no money to Friday. I'm like, I'll buy it over the weekend, Yep. This card is very unique. My son, at first was like, I said, if you look at it, it looks like an embroidery.
That's what it's supposed to be.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the card is not embroidered.
Correct.
It's just are any cards standing out for you so far?
As far as just like absolute home runs right now?
Yeah. And again, this is just personal. Earlier I was talking about, this was the one I was talking about as far as the Yogi Bear.
I mean, the 2 Jackies right now, they're out in the set right now are great. I did like Gregory Siff's, first Darryl Strawberry card. So I don't really have like an absolute favorite right now, but I think the Jackies are some of my favorite at the moment. And then, 1971 Topps, you have the Mariano there on the front. 71 Topps has had the Rivera, and then we've also had the Mattingly. So, there's some interesting sets so far in the set, but for me, the Jackies, I think are, some of the best. This
card, my oldest son, who lives like a half an hour away, he's like, Dad, he bought his first project card and Reggie Jackson because he was just someone that, another home run king. I remember he had collector's card. He played for the Yankees. Now this is when he played for Oakland at the time, but he bought that card. A lot of people buy it, like if they know Derek Jeter, obviously they bought. This is the card that seems to be getting a lot of attention.
Yeah.
What was the print run? That was the proof.
14,000 something.
Yeah. So that's the highest right now.
Yep. That is the leader in the clubhouse. Like that Joe Adele right there. So the one that's Jacob Rochester.
Oh, no.
If you look at that, you think it's a card, like a print, but no, that's a legit painting.
I know.
So it's crazy. Yeah.
I know. I have a lot of like he's really talented. This was the Mike Schmidt one I was talking about earlier. And it's a little goofy, it's cartoonish. But if you know me personally, I actually like to draw cartoons and do different things, and you still can tell it's Mike Schmidt, and it's fun. It's I'm biased because it's the Philadelphia Phillies, but that was a card I bought 5 of his card, plus I was able to score the artist proof in the aftermarket, but I did get it. And
I appreciate that card from FDOT because it was very different than his style of Project 2020. So like him and Sophia Chang are the only artists that really have stepped outside of their range of 2020 in the 70s. So I'm excited to see what both of them are continuing because they're very different than last year.
Right. This is Sophia's card.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I reached out to her, but I'm not sure if she kind of understands what I want to do, because sometimes people are like, oh, wow, someone wants to do an interview with me. But I'll stay persistent. I'm hoping to do 3 or 4 months. I did buy this card by Chuck Stiles. He's actually from Pennsylvania, down by Philly, but I love this card. I did buy this card.
Yep.
Hank Aaron, and I'm a big Hank Aaron fan. I'll tell you, the artwork, this card, though, is amazing.
Good old natural. Yep. There you go. Yep.
I mean, I think.
I gave away that Hank Aaron on my channel because I give away 1 card free a night whenever I record, and so that card was a cool one to give away because that card looks just so great. The Hank Aaron.
Tyson's card. Now here, I like the color of this. Sean, I don't even know who some of these people are. Sean Witherspoon.
Yeah, apparently he's big in the shoe game. So there's they're bringing some of the shoe people into the project, or at least that helps out with the fan base because it's different now.
Now, Brittany Palmer, she's involved in the UFC.
Correct.
And she's dating Gregory.
Correct.
I figured that out about 2 weeks ago. So there's Greg. Now here is Blake's card, Philadelphia Phillies. We obviously had to get that because of the Phillies. And Warren, who's been on my show, boy, she did really well with her card.
That was amazing. When you think about the fact there's Aaron Judge inside of an Aaron Judge there. Yeah. And you can still see the detail on the card. I think it's a really great piece of artwork right there.
If you look at her artwork, it is amazing.
Yes.
I mean, she's doing artwork within artwork.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And she was a guest on my show, and what an inspiration. Her story, it made me tear up because it was just so touching what she went through, and to kind of come back from the injury that she had and what she's doing. And she's amazing. She's actually, she donated something to give out on a future show. I think we'll probably do on Tyson, some of her artwork. So she's been very positive as far as, here's JK5. Yep. Keith Shore, you obviously know his. I picked up the Tommy Lasorda card.
Yep.
Because I'm a fan of Tommy. Now here's the one we talked about. This was no, that was card 4. But we talked about earlier. Snoop Dogg did a card.
Mm-hmm.
Now he must be a card collector that obviously the regular audience doesn't know, and is really into sports. And
the one thing I like too, if you go back to day number 2, which is Bobby Hundred, King Griffey Jr. I think his set's going to focus in on error cards. And there are numerous errors in that card. Number 1, of course, the print is all, messed up. And then there's a dot and a period wrong. The rookie cup tops is backwards on the rookie cup. And so his set could be very interesting if he does all 18 error cards in the set.
Right. He's having fun with it.
Yes, exactly.
You know, and it's funny because, you know, I'm on some of these Facebook forums where I hear, you know, people go, and sometimes the negativity, I just got to skim over because, you know, it's like, if you didn't put money out for the card, what are you complaining?
Yeah, exactly.
You know? So, and then the first card was by Ben Baller, and that obviously had the first top 3 cards had huge print runs.
Yep.
I mean, compare, you know, 9,000, almost 13,000 and 9,000. DJ Ski, now there's a guy that he's like, I've seen him on Blake's too, and he's really having fun with it, and he's doing a lot, and he's looking for the gold card. Let me ask you something too, if you can offer some. What is the difference between the artist proofs? Are they the cardboard or are they porcelain cards?
No, they're the same. So the theory went when they made up these artist proofs last year on Project 2020 and sold them for a couple $100. That was a way for Topps to guarantee to pay their artist commission on the artwork. And that basically covered their flat fee for the artist. And then they got a percentage on card sales, right? So they're the same card. All they are is a silver border. There's nothing different on the card. So I still think that the name is wrong because they're not really artist proofs. Because when you think of an artist proof, you think of it being different. But all they are is a silver border. Right.
And I want to be clear with that. And obviously the AP on there is being written by an employee of Topps. They're not going to the it's too bad that they weren't able to kind of get, to be honest, to get the artist to autograph it on the back.
Yes.
You know, and then you could say, wow, I picked up on that the other day watching an art because he said, what I don't understand then is why is the gold cards going for so much?
Like this one? Like this gold one?
And is that the one that you just got?
Yeah. Let me get out of the glare. Oh, the glare in my window. Sorry, hold on. Yeah. So there's the gold 1 of 1. So
yeah. I mean that's amazing. I mean, and Blake openly admitted that he paid $6,000 for his, but he could, if he would have waited longer, he would have got it cheaper.
Yeah.
But, I mean, they're going for thousands of dollars. DJ Ski put it right out there. If anybody gets his card, to contact him.
Yeah, they'll go for big money because this is the only one out there. But then again, there's just the gold border on them. Now they have the 1-of-1 stamp on them, but it's the only one out there. So, and it's the ultimate chase card in the set, you know, because I only bought one Jackie Robinson and I got an extra card package and it was that Jackie Robinson gold. So there's no way to trick the system. Someone just gets it randomly in the package and someone gets lucky. And so, you know, I was a lucky one for this Jackie Robinson, which is incredible. It's the right player, the player I collect, but it could have been anything. So yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I mean, I wonder how that. I like to. I mean, because of COVID, no one's being able to see where the cards they're being printed down in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
But it'd be neat to kind of tour the facility and really see what they do. You know, to do all this and how they do it together. And you know, are the APs and the gold under lock and key? And you know, how does that? I mean, because honestly, you get a card that's worth $6,000, you know, who's watching that being sent out and you know, so I mean, obviously they're probably never going to release those details as far as that, but
yeah, it's interesting. I mean, to think of it, who in the warehouse has access to, for example, that Jackie Robinson, and how does that person pick the order or pick the package it goes into, or is it all just on a random number system? And it's really curious to think about how that person gets selected to pick up these extra cards, because even with the foils out of 70, you know, those are the chase cards here also.
Oh, so yeah, and that's right. Talking about the foils, they didn't have those in the 20. I mean, I see a lot of the foils going for hundreds of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
On how, I don't know how are the people also? That's one thing I can't understand, and maybe since you're the expert, I feel on this. How are people selling the cards on eBay for $4 less?
Oh yeah. So I did that for a long time last year. It's a numbers game. So you are spending $14.50 when you're buying 10 from Topps. You're spending $14.50 a card, so it's $145.
Oh, okay.
But then you're earning Topps Now points, and you earn hundreds and thousands. I have hundreds of thousands of Topps Now points that I never use, but you can then use those points and then buy free stuff on the website for Topps Now and then sell them. At the same time, if you're buying more cards, you theoretically have a better chance of hitting a gold 1-of-1 or a rainbow foil. So, if you play the numbers, they kind of go in your favor, but you got to spend a lot of money, and you do have to sell them at a loss for a little bit, and that's the challenging part. So it's a real cash-heavy operation because you're funding it, by losing on the front end.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was wondering maybe if it was, and again, I've picked up on some things that, a lot of the artists, and I was when we had Lauren was on with Blake, and some of them don't some of them, I mean, like Greg, they're doing companion cards, they're doing autograph. Some of them are strictly just doing the Topps Project 20 or 70, not doing and then they're realizing like, wow, maybe I'm only getting a couple dollars off the card, but if I go out and buy the card and autograph it and do something special, do a companion card off of that, they're actually making more money doing those types of things than actually what they're making from Topps. Topps is kind of getting them out there and their name out there, but they're being smart about it. And I'm from an entrepreneurship. I like seeing that,
Yeah, that was always the biggest question last year was, Blake was a very big proponent. Blake would tell us, look, I'm buying 500 Bob Gibsons. I'm buying a couple hundred of this card. So when the artist does that, it naturally inflates the print run, but it takes the card out of circulation. So it's always that fine line of what is the print run? If it's 2.5, but if the artist bought 300, it's only 2.2. So there was always that big question of what is the print run actually, especially for the artists who are doing autographs. Like Blake was doing heavy autographs, F-Dot, all of them were doing a lot of autographs. And so the print run number is a little bit more fluid than we think it is.
Yeah, I mean, from what I understand, they can only now buy 200.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, he was said in his contract because there was another artist that didn't know they could buy any cards, and that they could, and they're allowed to buy 200 cards, and and obviously do with what they. I mean, look at Ermsey. I mean, creating the companion cards where you could sell a companion card for what 75, 100, and those are rare. He's not selling 1,000 of those. Even if he only sells 30 or 40 of those, that's really a hardcore fan of that artist and also of the particular player that's being featured and stuff.
Yeah, it's a great capitalism because, I mean, we want them to make it – so it's a weird game we play. Like, we want cards to be valuable on the back end, which means they need to be printed low. But we want the artist to be successful, and for them to be successful, a card needs to sell a lot. So it's a really weird – position that we're in is as a collector and as a buyer of the set because we want the same thing, but they're actually polar opposite of each other.
Right. All right. Well, guys, I do appreciate everyone that's come on. Again, down in the description below, you could check out Chris's channel. Chris, do you got anything coming up that you want to promote?
No, just my normal Project 70 show every night, It's Monday, Wednesday, and Friday nights on my YouTube channel, just CRT Sportscards. And I talk about the most recent cards and maybe a topic of the day. So if you're not subscribed, check out a video and hit that subscribe button. I appreciate it. And again, you guys, are you on Instagram? I'm on Instagram. It's all CRT Sportscards. So Instagram is, I think it's CRT_Sportscards. And then Twitter is also CRT_Sportscards. So you can just Google CRT Sportscards on our website. Everything is linked there. It's all, you can find me pretty easy. Yeah. And again, I mean, I had a hard time finding I was looking on eBay to actually pick these up, and even people are selling these and I went to my local card shop, and the guy still, because of not many getting foot traffic, they had a couple of these copies. So I actually picked up this one and this one, and I didn't even know. I knew Chris was in the first one, but I didn't know he was in this one. And if you guys haven't, this one really features a lot to the artist. If you guys want to check this out, you could probably find this on eBay, or this was supposed to be displayed until this month, March 20th. And if you guys want to check it out, there's a nice 4-page, 5-page article on Chris and the art and cards and stuff like that. And yeah, the funny one about that one is I didn't even know I was going to be in that magazine. I knew when I talked to Mike Payne from Beckett, I was going to be in the price guide for Project 2020, but then that one came out. And I'm like, oh wow, that's kind of cool. So I had no idea about the Art of the Game one also. Yeah, what's interesting about this, and you never know what life holds. 10 years down the road, you may be more involved in sports cards than you ever thought you would be, because because you do such a good job of the analytics and the sales and what you're doing. And Thank you.
I do appreciate you coming on the show, Chris, and being a guest.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity. Greatly appreciate it. It's a great conversation. So
Yeah, and like I said, going forward, I will artist I will feature you in the description with a link because I want people that are interested in the project to find you and reach out and make a decision what they think about the cards and stuff like that. So thanks again, everybody. If you guys could give me a thumbs up, I'd appreciate it, and have a great.
That's right. You're damn right. I did that. 8 down, 8 profile. You hear him? You hear him? He's trying to talk smack on me and Cletus. What is he talking about? That was the highlight of the show. You got a little haywire. I'm not gonna let somebody take me out like that. Not gonna happen. I'm never going away, Patdees. Matter of fact, this show is gonna go into watching Patdees. We're gonna watch Patdees videos.